Disappointed!
Hi guys, it's a beautiful morning, perfect weather in my opinion, nice light rain, low 50s, not everyone's cup of tea, but to me, perfect morning. Does mean kind of crappier lighting than usual though, because just using my fluorescent light bulbs, whatever. But there's an interesting rumor that just popped up. You know by now that the NES Mini, the NES Classic, is no longer being produced. Last shipments were sent out already to North America. It's being stopped temporarily in Japan. I'm assuming it's probably going to be permanent, but they did specifically say it's temporary in Japan. And this, of course, everyone pretty much universally has been saying is a crazy decision. Nintendo is throwing away money because the supply has nowhere near met the demand. And the supply has even been, last shipment sent out from North America that Nintendo has stated they originally did not intend to ship out, but they were responding to consumer demand. But if you're going to respond to demand from your consumer base, you should probably actually fulfill that demand. Not just, if you have thousands upon thousands of people saying, I want one of these things, and you ship out enough for 10-20% of the consumer demand, you're just throwing away money and giving money to scalpers. I came into the other room one night, and my wife, I thought she was watching like a sporting event, the way she was cheering, and she was watching the ending soonest on eBay, all the auctions going off for the NES Mini, boxed ones, new ones, modded ones, a lot of modded ones. People are adding a lot of stuff to them. And it was just really funny just watching them go like that, one after the other, probably about 100 in under an hour, just like going like crazy, anywhere from $250 to $350, depending on new or modded or used, whatever. Just crazy for something that came out at a reasonable price, a good holiday item, and it's just nuts, the idea that Nintendo was saying, oh, well, it's just supposed to be a limited edition thing, we never intended it to be long term. And I get that, and I get it how it was a stopgap to keep Nintendo in the limelight during the holiday season as the Wii U was kind of dying off, that didn't really have a lot going into the holiday season. The Switch was pushed back until spring for a really cool, big, different release and launch window. They needed something to fill that gap in the holiday season, that important time of the year for sales. I understand that, but if consumer demand is through the roof, you push more out and it doesn't interfere with everything. There's not even a virtual console set up yet at the time of filming this for the Switch, so it's not even interfering with possible virtual console sales. There's nothing that is interfering with, it's not competing with any other Nintendo product. A rumor just came out though yesterday that might solve the riddle as to why Nintendo is doing this. I still don't agree with it, but it seems to be there might be a Super Nintendo Mini, a Super Famicom Mini in the works from Nintendo. And I could see them stopping the NES Mini once the Super Nintendo Mini comes out. And with them stopping so abruptly, I do have a theory that we're going to see this sooner rather than later. I think it's going to hit us end of the summer, beginning of the fall. Sometime July to October, I think is going to be the window we're going to see this. A couple of reasons why. There was no big holiday season launch, which is typical. Normally, say around September through November, December for a big console launch. We got the Switch at an odd time, and yet it still is breaking records for Nintendo consoles for sales right out of the gate, with not a lot on it game-wise aside from Zelda, which is also on the Wii U. And Nintendo's taking a totally different strategy, and instead of capturing that window, starting in the spring, starting big, and instead of having a ton of launch titles, they're doing more of a strategy of spreading stuff out. They could have more than likely released last November, had a big holiday launch, sold a bunch, but then they run the risk of having a dry spell throughout 2017 until you start getting towards the next holiday season. Instead of doing that, release in the spring, have things like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe come out at the end of the spring, you have Splatoon 2, then a couple other titles coming out during the summer, you wait, and then at the end of the year we're going to have the first holiday season for the Switch, which Nintendo is going to focus on big time, really trying to make that push with even bigger than intended sales for the Switch. So far, things are going beyond original projections before this thing came out, plus Mario Odyssey, a new Mario that seems to be a spiritual successor to Mario 64. That's going to be the huge thing to push this Christmas. So I don't see them releasing, if they make it, the Super Nintendo Mini during the holiday season, because I think that is going to compete, even though they're completely different products, that's going to compete for the consumer dollar over what some people are willing to buy. Buy, maybe you get a Switch and you get Mario, and you get one or two other games that Christmas. Or you might not sell quite as many of those games because they might get the Super Nintendo Mini and only maybe one Switch game. That type of thing, you know, it definitely could be seen as a competing product. And I think that means if we're going to see this thing, the reason they cut the NES Mini so short is because they're switching to production immediately within the next month or two. I really think we're going to start seeing them work on making this NES Mini happen. I think we're going to see probably around E3, maybe a actual detail about this system, what's going to be on it. We're going to see a reveal. I really think it's going to be part of the E3/Nintendo Treehouse Direct experience this year. I think we're going to see that, and I think we're going to see it by the end of the summer, beginning of the fall. I don't think that it's going to be that long of a wait. I think it's just going to be, during that spell where we have till just a few handful of Switch releases, big titles coming out between now and the holiday season. We're also going to see that come out. It's going to keep Nintendo going and rolling this ball going. Nintendo really pushing and making a big comeback, and then focusing entirely on the Switch in the holiday season. So I really think that is the real reason, not this idea that it was only intended to be a limited release, and there seems to be no reason monetarily why, without a replacement, without something that would be seen as a competing product, why they would just kind of cut ties with the NES Mini when there's still so many people that want one, so many people that are a bit peeved that they didn't get one. I do think, though, that it's going to be chaos with this. If they actually come out with a Super Nintendo Mini in a couple of months, I think it's going to be a madhouse when those things come out, even crazier than the NES Mini, even though it's not going to be during the holiday season. I think because of the fervor, because of the insanity of really wanting that, all those people that didn't get one, people are going to go nuts for this thing, and scalpers are going to see a second opportunity. Bought up 6, 7 of these things. A lot of people I saw in their pictures for their eBay listings. It's crazy. People are going to go nuts. What do you guys think? Do you think this rumor is actually going to come true? And what do you think? Do you think it will actually be more of a holiday season thing? Do you agree with me that it's probably going to be a stopgap thing in between to keep Nintendo in the news and Nintendo consoles shipping out and selling, whether it's a Switch or a retro console like that? What do you guys think, and what do you think of these consoles in general? Do you think it's a line that Nintendo is going to continue with? Do you think we're going to see maybe another version of the NES Mini or the Super Nintendo Mini, see an N64 one, whatever? What do you guys think about this topic? I'd love to know below what your thoughts are, and if you're one of those lucky few that got an NES Mini, will you also be buying a Super Nintendo version of the system? Do you think it's worth adding to your collection?